Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make an emulsion lift out of Fuji pack film. There's a lot of things that can be done with Fuji's pack film, such as image transfers, and you can create a negative out of this film as well. But one process that I didn't really see a lot of on YouTube was an emulsion lift. What an emulsion lift is essentially is getting the emulsion layer from the Polaroid and transferring it over to some other kind of substance. Now this can be transferred over to anything, from an egg to a stone to a bit of board, a bit of chipboard, to even just paper. And it's a pretty creative technique. It really creates something else out of your image, and it kind of warps it in a sense. Just a little disclaimer, I'm not perfect at this process. I haven't been doing it for too long. I just noticed that there weren't too many videos out there of people explaining how to do this. With everyone stuck inside at home at the moment, I think this technique is incredible to try. It's good fun. You don't need a lot of things to try it, and it renders a pretty unique result. For this you need a tray, a clean tray. I use my darkroom tray that I use for prints, but you can essentially use any kind of tray that fits the Polaroid. You'll need a paintbrush. You'll also need some scissors, hot water, some kind of cloth, some utensils to pick up the Polaroid from water, your Fuji or Polaroid pack film image. For this process, you'll just need the positive layer from the Fuji or pack film image, but I'd just suggest holding on to that negative layer as it can be used for something later on down the track. Mod Podge glue. This is pretty important. I've messed up the process before by using the wrong glue, and that's been pretty nasty as it's ruined my images entirely with no way of getting them back. But yeah, Mod Podge is what I've been recommended by others. Yeah, highly suggest this stuff. It dries clear, so there's no other result or no other color cast to your image afterwards. Some kind of surface to put the image on. I'm just using this chipboard essentially today. Now you want to make sure that it's light in color. If you have something that's dark, it'll darken your image essentially. Lighter parts of the image will turn to the color of the thing that you're transferring the image onto. So make sure you're happy with the color. And that's pretty much all you need for the process. So I basically leave the water in the tray until it's no longer steaming. The second step is cutting up the Polaroid. It's not really essential, but I like to do it because otherwise it'll have some kind of clear edges on the edge of my Polaroid when I transfer it. So I like to cut it all just so that all of the image is there and there's no extra parts on the image. After you've cut it all up, I just place it in the water and I keep it in there for 2 minutes. I just set a timer. I don't really agitate at all. And then after that 2 minutes is done, I take it out of the water and put it onto my cloth. Once it's on the cloth, I then peel essentially from one of the corners. Now, you've got to be super careful with this as the images tend to rip from time to time. Fuji's done quite a good job with the material that they've used for this emulsion, but that being said, it can still rip, so make sure you don't put any tears or anything in it as it'll pretty much ruin the image, unless you're going for that kind of thing, which is cool. After that's done, you basically just try and whack on the image onto your surface. You've got to do this pretty quickly so that there's no bubbles or anything in between the image and your surface. So basically you just spread it on and then spread the edges out just so that it's nice and flat as you can make it. Afterwards then you get the Mod Podge, and then you just use the brush with the glue just to make sure it sticks to the surface. You need to use some kind of glue substance just because the Fuji image doesn't actually tend to stick to any kind of surface. It does while it's wet, but when it does dry up, it turns real flaky, pretty much like cellophane. Try to be careful with the brush as well, as it can also tend to cause the image to rip. I've got this example here where it's actually ripped the end there when I was trying to paste it on. Try and spread out any air bubbles as well. One thing with the Fuji film that I've noticed is the edges tend to curl a lot more than others. Even with these, all of the edges are still rolled in a little bit, but I think I did an alright job with trying to spread them out as much as possible. After you've applied the glue, you just pretty much need to leave it setting until it's all dried. And then that's the process done. It's pretty simple, it's pretty easy. That being said, there is a bit of a learning curve because the wet emulsion is quite fragile and quite tricky to maneuver, but I mean, with practice comes perfect. Afterwards, you can easily file the image in some kind of scrapbook or something, or you could just scan it in some kind of flatbed scanner. When trying this process out for the first couple of times, make sure you use an image that you don't necessarily want to keep. Just a bit of a warning there. Thanks very much for watching. If there's anything you'd like to see in any future videos about film or processing or image making, please let me know. If you like this video and want to see more, please subscribe below or tell your friends about it. That's, yeah, much appreciated.